Hi guys, it's Trevonna Parker here with Early Readers Matter, an initiative with Jumbo Structure. And our purpose here is to ensure that every child, including those in our most impoverished communities, have a real shot at success by giving them a real shot at reading success. We are different because we talk about a real message, real action, real results, which leads to real change. And today I want to talk to you guys about how pro-choice is ruining our educational system. Now, before I continue, if you guys like this information, please consider liking, subscribing, and clicking the notification bell so that you can receive messages about these videos. Also, please share this video and consider donating if you would like to keep the channel going. Now, how is pro-choice killing our children's opportunity for an equal shot at education? Well, I was reading an article and it was entitled Mike Pence, which is our vice president, hopeful of restoring sanctity of life to the center of American law. So basically the president was, he's very, very pro-life, wants to see children live, and he's supporting a book that's coming out entitled Life is Winning, Inside the Fight for the Unborn Children and Their Mothers by Marjorie Dannenfelser. And it also says that he is the first president to actually visit a pregnancy center, or first vice president or president to visit a pregnancy center. So I was really intrigued by this because, of course, I'm pro-life. I have lots of children. I love life. I believe life begins in the womb, and we should definitely preserve life. But before we get into that, I just gave you a definition of what I believe life is. But let's talk about what the definition of pro-choice is. Basically, pro-choice is giving parents the opportunity to murder their children in the womb. And it's brought about and it's taught early on because children are, from day one in school, they're confused about parental roles. They're confused about babies being babies. They're told that they're cells, they're tissue, they're not alive, they're actually parasites, and it goes into connection with evolution and how basically we're all animals. So when you abort a child, it's basically just survival of the fittest. But how does this affect reading? Well, because of this fact, and because people are proponents of this, it gives parents the idea that they don't have to take responsibility. So a mom gets pregnant, she does not have to take responsibility for that child. She does not have to actually respect the man who is the father of that child because she can just abort his child whether he wants her to or not. The father in turn does not have to take the responsibility for the child, and he does not have to respect the mother and stay around and care for that child if he does not want to. This is the kind of society that we're living in. We're just losing respect for the value of life. And because of that, when children are cared for, there's still a little aspect of not having the full value of life within those family units, even when children are brought into the world. And I'll get into that in just a moment. But when children grow up understanding that they don't have value, their lives are not as valued as they need to be, it causes problems within them as well. And this is academic, this is social, this is emotional, this is spiritual. And the reason I mention that is because when children don't understand that they actually have been designed and that they come from a creator and that they believe that they just came from evolution, they don't have a value of themselves. They don't understand that they were created with a purpose. And it causes so many problems on so many levels, and academics is one. Okay, when life is not valued and people are not, and people don't accept responsibility, then they kind of feel okay with moving away from responsibility. Now, by that I mean pro-choice in the womb can lead to no choice in the schoolroom. There is a big fight against parents having the basic right to choose how, when, and where to educate their children. For some reason, a mom has the right to kill her child, but she does not have the right to decide where her child goes to school. This is the essence of their argument. Take away school choice. So you have parents who want what's best for their children. They are stuck in impoverished communities with impoverished schools, and they have no options for their children. This, by the way, is real oppression. You are shackling parents to poor schools with poor outcomes, and they have to dream and hope that their children will succeed. And this is why a lot of people believe that there is no such thing as the American dream, because a lot of people are missing the dream because their children just don't have the skills to succeed. This leads to them being yo-yoed around, saying that this is the reason or that is the reason. Right now, our country is in civil unrest, and they're tossing all these terms around: police brutality, systemic oppression, white supremacy, all of these things. And they're making people believe that this is the reason that they are struggling. When if we buckled down and we actually gave children a real shot by first and foremost letting their parents know that all life is valuable and that you have a right, that you can stand up, and that you are part of the educational team, the team period in your child's life. So when we have our children with the mindset, and we're raising generations with the mindset that both parents don't matter, that life is not super essential, the sanctity of life is what the article said. When we have them believe that life is not, there's no sanctity of life, then we have the kind of problems that we see. Many years ago, women were basically married to the government by way of welfare services. But there's a problem with that because the government can't give culture. The government can't tell you, you look like your uncle, or you remind me of your auntie. The government can't have you hang around your cousins and generations of stories. There are many children who don't even know their fathers. The government can't provide that. The government can't sit you down and say, what's 2 + 2? Let me help you. Let's do flashcards. Let's do reading. That's the responsibility of a mother and a father. And ironically, many educators complain about lack of parental involvement, but the system is set up to make parents really ditch their roles. I remember listening to something, and there was a mom, she was complaining about the school system, and she said in anger, I had to teach my own son how to write his name. And she goes on to explain the technique that she used. And I was in my late 20s, and it was a shock to me. It was my first time ever realizing that parents, moms in particular, did not teach their children to write their names. I had never heard of it before. My mom taught me how to write my name, and that's just what I thought was normal. And so it was a shock to me, but it's even more of a shock to know that many educators push parents out. I've heard of educators saying, don't ask your parents for help. They don't understand. It's a shock to me that's the system that we have. It's kind of a kill your kids. You have choice to kill your kids. You have no choice to educate your kids. We don't want you around, but you're not involved, and so we're upset with you. And the children are in this big tug of war, and it's very frustrating for them. And I know I work with children, and they do not function well. In fact, what I used to do, first thing I would tell my parents that I worked with, you are your child's first and best advocate. Teachers change year after year. Tutors come and go. You are the constant. You are necessary. Don't let anyone ever tell you anything differently. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would do is always reach out to the children's teachers. Let's partner. You, mom, dad, me, librarian, grandma, grandpa, let's work together to make sure this child stays on track. So what does this matter in the context of what we have going on today? We have a lot of rioting, we have a lot of looting, we have a lot of things going on, and we have people crying out, Black Lives Matter. Let's help people. Let's make sure that this country is a country that supports all lives, Black lives in particular at this point. Well, we know that all lives matter, and especially those in the womb. And we know that abortion is pro-choice is one of those things that is hurting the Black community and any impoverished community more so than any other community. And I just wanted to read a few things with you guys, or for you guys, to let you guys know I'm extremely serious about saying that this is all connected. Let's say, so according to the Illinois Right to Life, in the 2010 census, 79% of the Planned Parenthood surgical abortion facilities were located within walking distance of minority communities, and this is not without effect. In some cities, such as New York, Black abortions outnumber Black live births by thousands every year. This is a dwindling population. A population that's dwindling loses its voice. The Wall Street Journal says in 2014, 36% of all abortions were performed on Black women, who are just 13% of the female population. And I even got this information right here, this following information from a pro-choice website. It says, this much is true. In the United States, the abortion rate for Black women is almost 5 times that for white women. And then they go to throw stones and they say anti-abortion activists have been waging a campaign around this fact, falsely asserting that the disparity is the result of aggressive marketing by abortion providers to minority communities. Now, I'm not going to talk about their marketing. I did see a map of their locations. I'm not going to talk about their marketing, but I will say this is very interesting information. It says these activists are exploiting and distorting the facts to serve their anti-abortion agenda. They ignore the fundamental reason many women have abortions and the underlying problem, well, not many women. They ignore the fundamental reason women have abortions and the underlying problem of racial and ethnic disparities across an array of health indicators. The truth is that behind virtually every abortion is an unintended pregnancy. Now, let's be clear. When you hear people talk about pro-choice, they constantly say, well, what about when the baby is gonna, there's something wrong with the baby, or what about when the woman was raped? They throw these what about because they make you pause to consider. However, most abortions are for unintended pregnancies. And they say, these patterns of abortion rates mirror the levels of unintended pregnancies seen across these groups. Overall, Black women are 3 times as likely as white women to experience an unintended pregnancy. Well, why is that? Of course that's the case. First of all, the abortion clinics are extremely close. Secondly, the homes are broken. Back in before the welfare became, and the government became the father to children, there were like 25% single parent homes, and now in the African American community, and now there are in the 70% percentile of single parent homes in the African American community, Black community, communities of African descent, African diaspora, whatever we want to call it. That community has a huge single parent home, and we know that single parent homes don't work. We know that moms and dads are important. This is why, this message can come out in a reading program, because we're talking about how to help children. We don't just focus on reading, the science of reading. We focus on real life. What are children going through? Children need moms. Children need dads. Children need to understand that they are valuable. They're not just animals who've evolved. Children need to understand so many different things, and we cannot give that to them if we're not really willing to address any real issues. We have to collectively realize that the way we're approaching things and the dishonesty in the way we're approaching things is really hurting our children. Of course, I always tell you, I contend that you can teach even the smallest, the littlest learner some very big things. I always tell people I can teach the letter pictures, the letter sounds, and a word to associate with each letter in 2 languages in 30 learning days or less. And it's not that hard. And just imagine the foundation that builds. You have the 3 components of real reading success. We have the 3 key ways to advocate. We focus on so many different things with Early Readers Matter, and I can tell you that process brings results. So here we are. It's a little different for a reading message to sound like this, but it's a message. It's a real message for real lives, and I've worked with the children who need this message and the parents as well. Real message, real action, real results, leads to real change. And that's what it's all about. Again, if you like this video, please like it, subscribe, and share this video. Please direct anyone who needs these services to me and ask any questions that you have. I love answering questions. Also, please hit the notification bell so that you get notifications when we release new videos. I'm going to do Q&A. I have a lot of questions backed up from my Facebook channel. Many parents have asked me questions, and I'm gonna deliver. So, Lord willing, I'm gonna deliver. And so, if you hit the notification bell so that you'll receive any updates, and also consider donating. There are some links in the About section of this channel, and your help will go a long way to ensure that we're actually donating to real causes that make change in real lives. Stand in true solidarity. Remember, it is time to get real about the seriousness of reading struggles. Happy reading.